Mark Seaton. I was an evacuee and I was evacuated from Ealing in West London to a place called Hazel Grove.
I'm Mark Walden. I was evacuated from London to a place called Purley in Berkshire near the River Thames.
My name is Jack. I lived in a little village called Chalfont St Peter, and in the views of the government of that time, it was a safe area because normally they would only bomb cities. I was never an evacuee.
Are you enjoying your day here at the Watercress line? Because that's important. Are you enjoying your day? I'm assuming you are, because if you really were an evacuee, you would not be enjoying your day.
I remember quite vividly. We lived in London and with my mother and sister. My father was away then in the war. And in end of 1941, it was decided to evacuate all the school children in London because of the danger of bombing.
I didn't know what was going on. I didn't think much about it until my mother came down with my suitcase packed. Now that was a real teller. And I thought, there is something going on here.
We weren't really aware of this until one day at school we were told that tomorrow we were going on a coach trip and away, and we had to bring with us a suitcase, a small suitcase with a change of clothing, some food for the day, and our gas mask. Gas masks at that time were considered very important.
And when we got to school, it started. There were a whole crowd of mums round the gate, school gate, and the kids had gone in. A lot of them were crying. So I went in, Mum stopped at the gate, and she sent me in, and I went into my class. Teacher called the register. But the other thing that I noticed was all the coaches.
Put on board a bus and taken to Paddington Station. We weren't really sure where we were going, but we would find out nevertheless. We were taken to Paddington Station, where we were all marshalled onto a train and taken down beyond Reading to a station called Tilehurst. And there we all got out of the train and out into the station yard. We were lined up, and the people who were looking for evacuees came along the line and picked us out, you see.
We were lined up. We all had labels on with our name on them. And this lady stepped forward and said, all right, I'll take him. And I thought, well, what?
I was picked out by Mrs. Gray, who lived about a mile and a half away.
Because my family was of such numbers, and I had three sisters, all two older than me, one younger, so our house wasn't big enough to take any evacuees. But the people next door, they took two.
So she said, I'll take him, and she did. And we went back to her home. I was taken by a couple who had no children, and they doted on me like they did, they spoiled me rotten.
I was very lucky. They were a very nice family. They looked after us well. They treated me as part of the family.
We had two evacuees in the house next door to me. One was 8, her name was Nora, and the boy was 10, his name was John. They came from Stepney in the East End of London. Now, they weren't living with me, so I occasionally met the boy.
Some went into homes that weren't very kind to them. They were treated as sort of a cheap form of labour in the house. And they were also, those who had picked out to go onto farms were used as farm labour. This is because, of course, food was a great importance at the time, and it all had to be done.
Some of them, they were placed with the farm families, and the farms had lost a lot of their workers to the army. Now, it was a reserved occupation, but a lot of them volunteered anyway, and a lot of them were without people. So when they got the youngsters in who were fit and able, within limits, and they had to go out and do 2 hours work on the farm in the morning, come in, have their breakfast, go to school, come home from school, have their tea, then go out and 2 hours work again, and then go to bed. That was really tough. When you go home tonight, when you go to bed, when you go up in your own bedroom with your own parents downstairs, then just be grateful, because that is so important.